So this is going to be some type, and I'm going to change the font to something groovier because it's going to be groovy type. Right, let's go with upper and lowercase. Okay. And I will resize the type because it's inside this box. It's nice and large. If you go up to the top here of the control panel in Illustrator, there's a box that says Make Envelope. And if you click on the little arrow, you can see there's two types, Make with Warp and Make with Mesh. I'm going to do Make with Warp first. So I'm going to click on this Make Envelope warpy thing. And now it's opened up the warp options, where you can control the vertical and horizontal distortion and the bend. I'm going to make the bend less. This is like tape on a path, except for that you can actually distort the characters. So that is warping text. So right now that's warping text on an asymmetrical arc using the warp effect. If I go ahead and I'm going to undo that, and I'll just duplicate it and click on the object again. Here I'll do Make with Warp again. And as soon as I click on it, it's going to pick up the same exact specifications that I just used. Okay, so it remembers that. But on this one, the second one, I'm going to change it to Make with Mesh. And then it opens up the mesh dialog box, and I'm going to make this mesh a little bit more complex than 4x4 square. I'll make it 8x8, and now I have this mesh. When I click OK, there's a situation to be dealt with. And this is probably not used as much, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm using the direct selection tool to select the inner portion of the grid, and I'm using Shift arrow up. And this is menacing, I know, and probably a bad recommendation, but it is definitely sometimes something that you might need to make type look like it's going around a corner of a building or some other weird thing. So that's Make with Mesh. Okay, you can see there's a major difference between the two. Now, if I undo all that meshy scariness I did, bring it all back to before it became a scary, frightening moment, there is something you can do that makes this a little bit less gross. Okay, go back to this. I'm going to select it again, the whole mesh. I'm going to go to the tool called the Reshape tool. And with the Reshape tool, is anything going to happen? Nothing happens. I'm going to go to the Scale tool. There we go. And if I scale, it's scaling it on the mesh, so it's all even right now. Makes sense. But I could also do, let's say I selected about half of this. And this is just to give you an idea here. I'm going to rotate that a little bit up. Okay. And now I have a weird distortion, but I'll select another chunk of this. And if you have ever wondered, what the heck would I ever use this tool for in Illustrator? It's an Illustrator lasso tool. I can actually select around just like these letters and get that part of the mesh. If you need to stand up, that's fine. If you can't see what I'm doing, I can see some people kind of straining to see. So here I can selectively with the Illustrator lasso tool select part of the mesh. And again, I'm using rotate in this case. So you can really mash the type very specifically how you want it to go. Here I'll rotate this part, not selecting anything at the top, however, and click and rotate this bit up. All right, so now you can see some of the things that you might want to try to do. So let's say this is almost what you want. You're like, this is so close to what I want. I just want to fix some of these weird anomalies in the thicks and thins here. Then what you can do is Object, expand the object and the fill, And now what you have are vectors again, and you can zoom in. Here I'm going to zoom into this cattywampus O, get the direct selection tool, click away, and then adjust the actual letter shapes themselves. This is no longer editable type. It was until I did that expand. I could have actually made that groovy type say something else, but I can't now because it's now shapes. But with this groovy type, I can, I should, and should be able to do that. Should be able to do that, but it doesn't want to let me. Let's try it again.
Can you get something back together after you expand it?
No, you cannot. It's a great question. Whoever asked that. That's a great question. No, you cannot. You're stuck with it. Stuck forever. You can change the arc to something else as long as you haven't expanded it. In which case you could make each letter a different color, and it does not really make it easy for you to reselect this text. If you go to the layer panel, and you look here, you can see that this is envelope. That's the envelope text right there. And if I click on this, that selects it, but I can't change the font here. If I go to character, I can't change the font. So what you generally will want to do is keep a spare piece to the side, like I did here with this. Okay? All right. Gradient in text. Yes, you can put a gradient in text. So if I have this text, I can see it thinks it's gray, but that's because it's in envelope. And I can't change the color now, which is really a drag. I also cannot, if I take the text tool, fresh text tool, and I put a gradient on it, and I start typing text, it will not fill with gradient.
Can you move your swatches?
Sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you for asking for what you need. Gradient. Okay? So I can't pick a gradient to fill that text. Everyone's like, I want to put a gradient in my text. Can't I do that? Now, if you look at it now, it seems like if I zoom in on it, it seems like it should have a gradient in it, right? Because gradient is selected, but there's no gradient on it, right? Yes, you know that because you've been trying to do that all week and it won't work. So select the text. I'm going to get something bolder, so maybe I'll just get this version in bold, and I'll scale it. So I'll go away from the text tool and then go to the scale tool, because if I type S, it'll write gradients, and that is not what I want to do, even though I want the scale tool. So now gradient. Thinks it's filled with a gradient. It is not. We have to go expand. And now the fill is in the front and I can choose the gradient. Each letter is gradiated though. Ick. Don't want that. I want it to be one smooth gradient. So I'll go to the gradient tool and I'll click and drag, let's say from top to bottom. Now it's going from top to bottom. And I can double click to open the gradient panel. There we are, not in the gradient panel. Window, gradients. There we go. Gradient. Click, double click. Here I'll put a different color in. I'll just drag this over. Sometimes it doesn't want to do what I want to do. There's yellow. Better. Okay, and then I'll slide this over and I will put yellow in the middle and finally red at the middle. Okay, make sense? All right, I can see some people look a little drowsy, so take a breath, stand up, breathe, take a breath. I'm going to invite you to stand up, take a breath. Trying to give you lots of learning tonight. I only have one more thing to go over in terms of demo stuff before we go to the next section of class.